Vinny Politan, great to have you with us. Another big day out in Boise, Idaho, in the trial of Chad Daybell, the so-called Doomsday prophet. He was in court today. There he is with his lawyer. They're fighting this case. His wife, convicted murderer Lori Daybell, she didn't really fight it. She was not fighting. Her lawyers did the best they could, but really, like, Lori's heart was not in fighting the charge. Chad Daybell's fighting it. He wants to get out of jail right now. Right now. Tylee, JJ, Tammy, 3 victims in this case, just like in his wife's case. 3 innocent victims, people who should still be alive. Joining us from outside the courthouse in Boise, Idaho, Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft is joining us. And Kelly, a former cult member took the stand today. Zulema, Pastenes. She controls the weather, but she's not making it warm for you, is she?
No, it's cold here in Boise tonight. I think it's in the 40s or low 40s, Vinny. You know, she was asked about that on the stand, Zulema Pastenes. And Chad had told her, had deemed her. They believed that Chad Daybell had these special gifts. And one of the gifts, I suppose you could say, that he said that Zulema possessed was her ability to predict the weather. Now, she was asked, do you feel that you could predict the weather? She was asked that on the stand, and she thought about it for a second, and she said no. So that was just one of the many things that she talked about today on the stand, as she talked about castings, participating in these castings, how you would deem people light and dark, and how Chad was the one that was deeming people light and dark. So you heard a lot about Chad. He was the one in charge. We also heard about things she felt a little bit uncomfortable about. And what was that? Chad and Lori's closeness. Let's listen to that testimony.
I asked why they were together like that when he was still married, and he said that they had been married to each other 7 times before in other lives, and they had been exalted before together in other worlds, and that they were to be together in this life because they had a mission together, and that their spouses would understand because of the mission that they needed to complete. And then the topic of it didn't count for them again came up. And this is another of the times when Lori said, it doesn't count for me.
Vinny, I really liked it when Zulema would do that on the stand. And she did that so many times today because she was talking about the teachings and how certain rules didn't really apply to Lori. At least Lori would tell Zulema that. And she would always do that sign. Doesn't count for us. Doesn't count for me.
Zulema also spoke about some of the meetings that they would have, this group, this cult.
She did, Vinny, and talked about the castings and how they would get together and they would each hold hands, and Lori would designate each of them to give a particular reading or to say something during these castings. And Zulema then started talking about how she then learned that JJ, little JJ Vallow, 7-year-old JJ, was deemed dark. Let's listen to that testimony.
During this meeting, Chad said that JJ was going to die young, that he was probably going to die soon, and that he was going to come right back to Earth as Colby's son.
And who is Colby?
Lori's son.
Zulema did say that she started to become a little bit skeptical when all of a sudden JJ and Ty Lee were no longer around. She did ask Alex Cox, her husband. She began to ask him some questions about this, even when they were talking about Tammy Daybell's body being exhumed. And she said to her husband, "You're not going to have anything to do with this, are you?" And he said no. And then even in regard to JJ and Ty Lee, his responses to her were just very not clear at all and not really answering any of her questions.
Now, she's a critical witness, I think, for prosecutors, because it takes the jury inside of this world, right? Inside the world of Chad and Lori and what everyone was doing. But her credibility attacked by the defense today.
Really, yeah, Vinny, John Pryor, defense counsel for Chad Daybell, he is not letting up, and he shouldn't either. That's his job here, to strongly advocate for his client. So he was trying to paint this picture that Zulema and Lori were really the ones that were coming up with these ideas by themselves. And he was even taking it back and saying to Zulema, "You had visions, right, before you even met Chad Daybell." And she talked about having her visions and talked about what some of these visions were, talked about having a third eye. And at one time, John Pryor was saying, "No, I want to make sure I'm clear. On your forehead, we actually don't have a third eye, but you're saying that you had a third eye." And so he really was just trying to tear apart her credibility here, Vinny. Let's listen to some of that cross-examination.
In your discussions with Officer Hermosillo, was there a discussion about attempting to make your testimony more credible?
Yes.
And was there a discussion about you making inconsistent statements to other police agencies, and that Officer Hermosillo was trying to reconcile those two inconsistencies?
Yes, he was trying to reconcile.
And at that point, was it also your discussion with Officer Hermosillo that he was trying to make it so that they could minimize how a defense attorney may attack you in terms of those inconsistent statements?
Yes.
Is it your understanding that what Officer Kiakamanu of the Rexburg Police Department, Officer Hermosillo of the Rexburg Police Department, and your lawyer and you were trying to get your story straight about all the inconsistent statements you made to various police
Objection,
agencies?
Your Honor. Argumentative.
Sustained.
Move to strike.
As sustained, I strike the question.
Yeah, love him or hate him, John Pryor certainly is not letting up on any of these witnesses with his cross-examination, Vinny. I saw Zulema after she had been on the stand the whole day, pretty much. This was really what took up the entire court proceedings today, the direct examination as well as the cross-examination. I saw her after court. She just looked like she was spent and put through the ringer.
It's a big day. It's an important day for the prosecution, and a very significant cross-examination for the defense as well. So they're going after her for the preparation, but I don't know. Witnesses are always prepared for testimony, right? Like, if Chad Daybell gets up on the stand and testifies, I'm sure there's going to be some preparation for his testimony as well. But a good attorney can make it look like, wait, you're not supposed to do that. And that's John Pryor doing his job. Kelly Craft, live in the cold in Boise. Thank you so much. We'll speak again tomorrow night.
Thanks, Vinny.
All right, let me bring you my special guest, a religious cult expert, retired police commander, host of the Profiling Evil podcast, and the author of the book Deceived, Mike King, joining us. Mike, what an important witness, what an important day. But really, I guess what prosecutors are trying to do is take the jury inside of Chad Daybell's world and this so-called cult.
I'm with you, Vinny, and I love the fact that you brought out that these witnesses still need to be coached a little bit on what court is all about and how much you answer a question. I thought she did a great job. I thought she was a credible witness. Could you imagine getting sucked into something like this goofy ideology, and then hopefully getting your mind cleared up, but having to go into a court of law with the world watching and tell everyone, I actually believed all this stuff, but now I can see a little clearer. And it's a great reminder to us of how seemingly intelligent people can get sucked into these cults if the cult leader finds them at the right moment, if the cult leader somehow gives them a sense of purpose, like you can change the weather or you can have visions on your own. And when they instill that kind of power and control for these people, they stick with it because it's fortifying them emotionally and gives them this sense of purpose and greatness. And boy, once a cult leader can get people to align with them, they can go anywhere. And in this case, if everything that we're learning is true, they did go everywhere.
Now, another part of Zulema in her life is that she marries Lori's brother, Alex Cox, who is, I mean, from all the evidence that's coming out in this trial and in the first trial, he's like the hitman. He's the one taking people out. We know he took Charles Vallow out, but it seems like that is exactly where prosecutors have gone and are going. So how do you think the combination of those two factors, that she marries this guy, Lori's brother, the hitman?
I found a couple of things really interesting in today's testimony in regard to Alex Cox and Zulema. Number one is that she says in testimony, I only dated him 2 or 3 times before I married him. So this whirlwind romance, probably arranged, seems consistent with what we see with Melanie and I can't remember, Plasky, I think is the name, and please forgive me, but a short-term marriage, and then they're married. With Chad and Lori, a short-term period of time, and then they're married. So it's like these arranged things are happening. And then the other thing that I thought was so critical in regard to Alex is that she says, and she admits that she has some immunity, which really made me wonder, and I would love your thoughts, Vinny, but that she says, he then says, hey, they're going to make me a fall guy. He's all but making the greatest admission I've ever heard. But then he said something that reminded me of another serial predator that I interviewed in prison, Vinny, who said to me, I'm either a prophet or I'm a criminal. And Alex said almost the same thing. I'm either doing what God told me to do, or I'm in big trouble.
All right, Mike is going to stay with us. We've got more to go through. When we come back, we're going to take a tour of Lori Daybell's home. Is this the scene where JJ was murdered?
We are underway in the trial of Doomsday prophet Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against him.
Investigators have recovered human remains at Chad Daybell's residence.
There's no way, Morgan. I can never come up with this.
His wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, has already been convicted.
Now, will her husband end up with the same fate?
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
It's the Doomsday prophet, Chad Daybell, on trial.
But you have legal custody.
He's my son. I adopted him when he was 2 years. We had him from the time he was 8 months old till 2 years old. So she does nothing unless to cause me trouble. So I don't tell people the truth about where we are and what we're doing because of those reasons. So I look like a suspect, but I am a good person. Raised all of my kids. I've done everything that I'm supposed to do in life. But everyone is causing me trouble right now.
It's Lori Daybell on video there, talking about why she moves around and lies and everything. Well, it's because you're a murderer, basically, all right? She's now convicted. She wasn't at that moment. So that was her explanation when Rexburg police responded to her home. But the bottom line is JJ and Tylee were missing. JJ and Tylee had been killed. JJ and Tylee had been buried in Chad's backyard. Now, I want to play for you, because this is, I think, really significant. Melanie Gibb's testimony, right? This was the friend, one of the insiders, or perhaps now former friend, testifying about a trip that she made to Lori's home in Rexburg. Okay, and in this testimony, she's really describing everything she sees. I want to play this for you because then we're going to take a look at some video touring inside the home where all of what Melanie Gibb is describing here takes place. Let's take a listen.
At some point after Lori and Alex and the children moved to Idaho, did you end up visiting Lori?
I did.
Do you recall approximately when that was?
The weekend of September 22nd.
And was that of 2019?
Correct.
When you came to Idaho, where did you end up staying?
At Lori's house.
Do you recall the last time you saw JJ?
It was the Sunday night, the 22nd.
What was happening the last time you saw him, if you remember?
I was in the house, Lori's house, and I was doing a recording with Lori and David, and Alex walked in the door holding JJ on his shoulder and was taking him to bed. He had fallen asleep.
And did you see where Alex put JJ to bed?
No.
Do you know which room JJ normally slept in?
He often slept with his mom in the corner of her room. There was a little spot that she would put a bed in there for him, but he also had his own bedroom too.
Did he sleep in his bedroom that night?
No.
And how do you know that?
Because I was in that bedroom, then JJ's bedroom, so he wasn't in there.
And you talked earlier, you were going to stay in Tylee's room.
Right.
Can you tell us why you ended up in JJ's room?
So I was, slept often in Tylee's room. And then when David got there, him and we were in the same room that night together talking and reading scriptures and going to bed.
So did David have his things in JJ's room?
Yeah.
So was it your understanding JJ was put to bed in Lori's room that night?
Yes.
Did you in fact try to contact Chad?
Yes.
How did you try to contact him?
Text or phone call.
Did he respond?
No.
And would this have been in the early morning hours?
Sometime in the early morning.
Did you attempt to make contact with Lori?
Yes.
And how did you try to do that?
The same, text and phone call. And then I went to her room to see if she was there and it was locked.
Did she respond to the text or phone call?
No.
And then her bedroom door was locked?
Correct.
You have no way to know who was on the other side?
No.
Did anyone ever open the door for you?
No.
And you said that was on the 22nd.
Correct.
Did you see JJ the next day?
No.
Did you ever see JJ again?
No.
Never saw JJ again. The last day he was seen alive, there's a photo. I want to show you that photo right now. This is the JJ in his red PJ, September 22nd, the last day that he was seen alive. So now what I want to do is show you some video as investigators are going into Lori's home after she has taken off and eventually makes her way to Hawaii with Chad. So here they are going through the home that was just described by Melanie Gibb.
Staircase going up to the second level of the home, 175. To the left at the top of the landing, it's like master bedroom, bed, a bath and closet area. Like there was some electronic devices on these at one time. I can see dust imprints of what appears to be computers. Here is a printer. Coming out of master bedroom, a hall adjoining a laundry room to the right. Continuing down the hall to the left, a furnace, water heater, closet. Opposite that is a bathroom. Continuing down the hall, 2 bedrooms. One to the south, one to the north of the hallway. This is the one to the south. A single bed, a double bed, a closet containing a couple coats, 1 empty box, a fan, some empty hangers, what appears to be a bedspread, and this box here that appears to have possibly winter clothes, female winter clothes inside. Continuing to the other bedroom, we have, this is the one to the north. We have a bed, appears to be some bedding on the floor. We have 3 cases here, all containing guitars. Looks like a duffel bag full of toiletry items that would appear to be belong to a male subject due to the cologne and so forth inside. This closet is also fairly barren. Looks like there are 2 samurai swords inside the closet, empty laundry basket, another basket containing some odds and ends of some sort. Nothing else in this room.
All right, let's bring in our guest, still with us, religious cult expert, retired police commander Mike King, and joining us now, cousin of Lori Vallow and author of the book, I Walked Through the Fire to Get Here, Megan Connor, back with us. Megan, interested in your thoughts walking through Lori's home there and what we saw and what we didn't see. What sort of struck you?
Well, definitely kind of the disarray. You know, we know that they left in a hurry, the lack of any children's clothes or children's items really that, you know, would have been there if the kids had been living there on a regular basis. And it's kind of chilling to watch the police go through there, you know, just after they had disappeared and realize kind of just helps bring home what was really going on there.
Mike, your thoughts about walking through the home. Do you feel like you're walking through the scene of a murder?
You know, the thing that's so troubling to me, it's pretty clear to see which room was Alex's. It must be that Tylee and JJ were in a room together. Vinny, maybe that was because he trusted his sister so much. Maybe that was a source of comfort for him. I know the testimony is that JJ slept in his mom's room, but I would be surprised if there was that much nurturing going on. But the thing that really jumped out at me is I had flashbacks of walking through Charles Vallow's home, Vinny, and boxes and clothing were stashed in a similar way. Like these children were living out of a box or a small amount of clothing regardless. And then, you know, especially in Charles's home, we get to where Lori's clothes are and other things, and we see a massive amount of clothing. It just seemed really different from what I remember our kids' rooms looking like when they were growing up.
Megan, and when police came the day before and they said, you know, doing the welfare check, and Lori is just explaining why she lies and moves around a lot and is talking very quickly. Did you ever see your cousin act that way before? Like with that fast kind of talking and like, whoo, I'm all over the place?
Yeah, that was very typical of the way that Lori talked all the time, whether she was telling the truth or not. It seemed like she was pretty quick on her feet with, you know, lies and half-truths, and she mixed in a little bit of truth there. And it was interesting to see how animated that she got talking about the money and the life insurance policy that she didn't receive. But when they were asking about the kids, or at least asking about JJ, she didn't seem, you know, too invested in that part of it. She was
Great.
much more focused on getting attention for losing the money.
Great observation. Mike, there was, as they were walking through the tour there was an image that was on the wall there, and I'm not, wonder if it has any significance, if you recognize it, does it have any meaning?
Yeah, I do recognize that, Vinny. It looks like one of the Latter-day Saint temples, which would go very well with this theme that they had, not only formerly Latter-day Saint members before they were excommunicated, but this idea that everything is ritually based, everything is a perversion of that mainstream belief system into the ideology that they were promoting. And so not shocking at all to see something like that and see it so well placed. And you think back to testimony that, for instance, Melanie Gibb gave when she talked about an image of Jesus Christ on top of a refrigerator or something that JJ reportedly knocked off. I think this religious or religiosity was probably thematic throughout the entire home.
Mike King, Megan Connor, we're out of time for tonight, but really appreciate your insight. Again, Megan Connor, I walked through the fire to get here. Great to see you both. We'll see you again. Up next. Secret recordings of Chad and Lori Daybell taking us inside the world of this Doomsday couple.
At some point, did you go to law enforcement with your concerns?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when that would have been?
I believe that was December 4th or 5th.
Did you sit down with law enforcement at that time?
Yes.
Did you participate in an interview?
Yes.
Did law enforcement end up asking for your assistance?
Yes.
As part of that, did they ask you to record conversations?
Yes.
That's Ian Pulaski. He is the husband of Lori's niece. And Lori's niece was like really big time into these beliefs and following Chad and Lori through all of this. But he goes to police. He's wearing a wire or recording what he's saying on the phone. Let's take a listen because Melanie's calling. He's recording it. This is, I think, devastating, this phone call.
So you need to get out of that complex. Not rush out of it. They're not going to leave you alone. I could sense the network pretty deep, and they're going to see you as the target since you're the only one that they really can find at the moment. For your own sake, for your own sanity, be bad. We know you were led there, and it worked for 2 months for us as we planned. We got together, and Madison County, the tech complex went from a blessed place to a cursed place due to the wickedness of the police. I think they're not going to leave you alone.
So how do you get Aramacio to stop? Because he's not going to stop. He's so like raged with this whole thing. He was just pacing, like yelling at me, like he's like, I'm not going to stop for anything. But isn't Rexburg like the place of safety when all things happen?
Yeah, but there's been lots of prophecies about major turmoil there. The plague's going to sweep through Rexburg.
The plague is going to sweep through Rexburg, the plague of police investigating Chad and Lori and everyone else. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, trial attorney, fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers, Ann Bremner. Also with us, trial attorney, former police lieutenant Rick King, and deputy public defender for LA County, Philip Dubé. All right, Ann, what do you think of listening to Chad Daybell? I mean, charisma plus.
You know it. That guy's like irresistible, right? But apparently he's convincing, and to a lot of people. I don't get it. I mean, I keep saying that Pillsbury Doughboy, central, but he, he's going to get people on his side, and he's done it. He's a prophet. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Rick, it's funny. Initially Rexburg was supposed to be the place where, the 144,000 are going to gather because this is the place that's been chosen. But now that police are investigating and asking questions, the plague is coming through.
And they would have got away with it if it wasn't for those pesky police. That's the whole thing, man. So when this thing comes out, let's go to Rexburg. Rexburg is where we're supposed to be. But as this thing develops and the police get involved, their attitude change. You know, they're talking about a plague now. I was just listening to what Ann said, and to me, it's the same principle, though. Like, I understand that he wrote this book, and so he got some warm leads to follow his lead. But it is, it's crazy how he allowed, or these people allowed themselves to be conned by this snake oil salesman, this doughboy-looking snake oil guy, to convince them that she could, like, that the woman could control the weather. Like, that to me is just, it's unbelievable.
And really, you know, the downfall is I don't know if he had near-death experiences and wrote about them, but then he gets a little attention, and he's starting to get attention from women. And that's when it goes south for Chad Daybell. Philip Dubé, you know, equating police with the plague, kind of a little consciousness of guilt there is what I'm catching from Chad in that phone call.
Well, of course, because the police are considered Mr. Bad. They're the bad guy. They're out to catch the criminals. And when you have somebody who's spouting off these Kafka-esque sort of fanatical ramblings and people are dying within your orbit, eventually the heat is going to be on. And of course, they are now the dark spirits that need to be cast away, just like Tammy was, just like Charles was, and JJ and Tylee. I mean, Lord only knows who is next. I mean, the man truly was a serial killer, cloaked with this church of the firstborn type philosophy and ideology, where if you follow my prophecies, if you follow what I believe in, you will be one of the 144,000 overcomers. Just come, join me, give me your riches, give me your wealth, fall for it, and you too will be in the glory of the celestial kingdom. And it's sold. And he reached out to the weak, to the vulnerable, and now look, he's on trial for his life.
Let's take a listen now to a phone call. This one's between Melanie Pulaski and her aunt, Aunt Lori, Mrs. Daybell, the prophet's wife, again, talking about police.
Well, how do you see it going, I guess?
Like, that's bad. It's bad for her in every way, because we can't trust her anymore, because that, for one. For two, it ruins her place with us. But for three, you call the police and you tell them that you're a liar, and then you try to tell them something that's the truth, they're going to be like, you just said you were a liar.
Right.
So I don't know if I trust that at all.
Right.
So you kind of shoot yourself in the foot. You call them, tell them that you lied, and then try to tell them the truth.
Right.
So I don't see it going anywhere bad for any of us.
And Lori there is talking about Melanie Gibb going to police after covering for Lori about the whereabouts of JJ, and finally deciding to call police to tell the truth. Rick, and Lori there, you know, she knows she's doing something wrong. She knows she's got the same consciousness of guilt. Like, everything is sort of, you know, wrapped around this belief in the end of times, and, you know, we're doing this for God and everything else. But at the end of the day, she knows what she's doing is wrong, right? As soon as it comes to police, don't talk to the police. Whatever you do, don't talk to the coppers.
She absolutely knows that it's wrong. And there's this funny thing about the police. Even if you come to them and say, hey, I lied before, but now I'm telling you the truth, they have this thing, and it's called corroboration. They can go forward, look what you tell them next, and they can check on it. And they can check back to see if these things make sense. And when they make sense, whether you lied before, if they can show that this is the truth, well, then you're still okay.